If you don't watch football, people think something is wrong with you. They assume you're boring, disconnected, or missing out. But psychology tells a very different story. And once you hear this, you'll understand why some people can watch a 90-minute match without blinking, while others feel drained after 5 minutes. Let's break it down. First, this isn't about hating football. It's about how different brains respond to stimulation. Football is fast, loud, emotionally intense, crowds shouting, commentators yelling, constant highs and lows. For many people, that stimulation feels exciting, but for others, it feels overwhelming. Psychologists call this stimulation sensitivity. Some brains recharge through high energy. Others recharge through calm, control, and depth. If you ignore football, it often means your brain prefers low-noise environments. You're not bored, you're selective. Second, attention economics. Football isn't just a sport, it's a commitment. Schedules, seasons, teams, stats, endless discussion. People who don't watch football often value attention ownership. They don't like giving hours of focus to something they didn't consciously choose. Psychology calls this autonomous attention, the desire to decide where your mental energy goes. That's why many non-watchers prefer reading, learning, quiet hobbies, creative work, not because they're antisocial, but because their mind needs purpose, not noise. Now, here's the part no one talks about. Football is tribal. Teams create identity, belonging, us versus them. That works beautifully for some people, but others don't build identity through groups. They build it internally. Psychologists call this internal self-concept. If you ignore football, you're less likely to seek validation through shared excitement and more likely to seek meaning through personal values. That's why small talk about matches feels empty to you, not because you're cold, but because your brain wants substance over signals. Another hidden trait, emotional regulation. Football thrives on emotional spikes, joy, anger, disappointment, hope. Some people love riding that wave. Others avoid it, not consciously, but instinctively. Highly reflective minds tend to protect emotional balance. They don't like feeling hijacked by outcomes they can't control. So instead of yelling at a screen, they step back. That's not detachment, that's self-regulation. Here's the mid-video truth most people won't admit. If you've ever pretended to care about football just to sit in, you already know this isn't about interest, it's about social pressure. Ignoring football often means you're comfortable standing slightly outside the crowd, and that takes psychological independence. Finally, depth over distraction. Football is repetitive by design. Same rules, same structure, different outcomes. Some brains love predictability. Others crave complexity and novelty. People who ignore football often ask, "What am I learning from this? How does this grow me? Is this worth my time?" That questioning isn't arrogance, it's cognitive filtering. So no, ignoring football doesn't mean you lack passion. It often means you value mental quiet, you guard your attention, you prefer meaning over hype, and you don't need collective excitement to feel alive. And if that sounds like you, you're not disconnected from life, you're just wired differently. And if this helped you understand yourself or someone you've never been able to explain before, hit like. And if you want psychology, habits, and clarity explained simply, subscribe to StickLogic Hub, because not everyone is meant to follow the crowd. Some people are meant to think past it. See you next time.